Welcome, fellow developers, to another episode of Artificially Inked. Today was actually supposed to be an AI video today. Um, I'm doing this kind of dual wield of AI game development and traditional game dev methods just so we have plenty of options to choose from in our game dev journey. Unfortunately, when trying to make the AI video today, I have no topics. I have no new tools. I have no new updates. It's kind of a wasteland out there when it comes to tools that we can use from game development. There's a lot of copycat clones. There's a ton of cash grabs and just regurgitated junk. The video production side of things is rocking to the moon, but when it comes to stuff that we can use, there's not much. But luckily, we have traditional methods to lean on. So right before I started this video, I stumbled upon this tool inside of Steam, of all places. It's kind of a Smash Brothers clone, but it has this cool little editor inside of it where you can draw out sprites, you can rig them like 3D characters, you can create animations with them, and you can get them set up inside of the little level editor. Here's a look at what the rigging, this is a bad representation of it, but you can rig your characters, arms, leg, head, feet, shoulders, knees, toes, all that good stuff, and set them up to fight inside of this fake Smash Brothers. You're like, why does fake Smash Brothers matter? Well, once you've created your characters, you can export your assets out of this engine and use them in any project that you want to. So I'm going to give this little editor that's inside of this game engine or this game tool a try, and then I'll report back to you guys and let you know how it pans out. For now, let's get back into easy FPS Editor, simply because I've been bulldozing through creating a game on this, and I have stumbled upon some sort of advanced techniques for building levels. All of this video will be linked in the Discord also, simply because most of this stuff is in the manual, but I figured a visual representation will help somebody out, especially the noobs, because a lot of noobs get into the Discord and get hit with the read the damn manual. So hopefully this can assist. So the three things we're going over is we're going over custom modifiers, we're going over cube mapping, and placing your items in the map using scripting. And the whole reason that this video even exists today is simply we had a discussion inside of the Discord chat and the YouTube comments. The last video I made was bringing in stuff like this table. We used some stairs as a demo. Brought in stuff like this. Now this is all simple collision right here, but with the stairs, adding simple collision means when you walk into the stairs, you get stopped, you can't walk underneath them. It just basically makes a cube, visible cube all the way around them. So now we have functional stairs. So the conversation was, why not bring your 3D models in with zero collision and then build custom modifiers to be your collision? So let's show exactly what that would look like. So if we go to our decoration settings and we go to stairs, right here in our checkboxes, we usually have this spot for solid that we check because we want our mesh to be solid, but we don't check that. And then if we go to our model configuration and we click on stairs, there's these checkboxes down here also, and there's a spot for generate collision. We leave that unchecked. So now we have this mesh brought in with zero collision. So how do we add collision? We go to custom modifiers, scroll through these million modifiers that I have, and I click on stairs. I've simply just added a slope. If I click on slope, you can see I've adjusted the dimensions to fit whatever the stairs are. And there's a drop down below here, and it's usually on normal, but if we click invisible, now we've got an invisible collision, and we just map that to where the stairs are, and then boom, we've got functional stairs. So I thought that would be useful. You could do just the crazy stuff like you wanted to map out this table, you get the thinness of this table and the length of this table, and then do, I don't know, circles for these. But this is so close together that it wouldn't matter. What it would be good for is if you had an archway or a doorway. Because if you put simple collision, when you walked into it, you would just, the spot you would walk through would be blocked out by the, you know, the simple polygon collision that they got. So you would have to build a modifier around and leave this space open, and you could walk through it. So let's show some of these custom modifiers in action, some of the ones that I have built, and kind of show what the possibilities are that you can use to make some simple changes in your map to bring your map to life. So I've got a little test area down here. We'll do like a corner spot for the walkway. Let's do shower stalls here. Let's do one of the ductworks. And if we hit play, we've got, and what happens with these custom modifiers is all the space that's not taken up by the geometry you can walk inside of. So you don't have simple collision on them. It kind of gives a complex collision. Like here's a deal for this ductwork. It's usually up against the wall, but you can walk underneath all of the open space. And so this is a way to use to create some more complex geometry. So we're not just relying on cubes all of the time. And what these look like when I build them, custom modifiers, let's find, I can never find the shower stall. There it is. So shower stall was created inside of this one cube, and I just hyper extended it past. That simply was because of the placement that I needed for that particular deal. And then we got like a catwalk corner right here. You know, just a thin rectangle, some thin circles, and it's just, you know, mapping out. You can make some pretty unique geometry and give your life some, you know, give your world some life pretty simply. But then what happens is this, it has to be one texture. Like one texture is going to stretch across this. You can't use very complex textures because it will do some, like you can see underneath this ductwork, it can do some funky stuff about how it places it. And even on this catwalk, it will stretch it. But simple stuff like this will bring a lot of life into your game world. All right, now the next thing we're going to get into is the cube mapping. Let's take this guy. Let's put him there. This is the most complete part of the level, is why I want to show this. So I had this corner piece. It just basically had this one texture on it. But by creating a cube map, I'm able to get one side one way, this side this way, this side looking like this, and then this side looking like this. And I've done this all the way around wherever I needed to have multiple angles where I just don't need the same exact texture. And this is something else that brings a lot of life. It just gives a little more detail to your world. And this is what this looks like. If we go back over here, I think you guys have already seen it when I was running around here earlier, but you can look at it in detail. As you see, it's just mapped to the cube. Each side has a different face. And how I set those up, what that looks like as far as a PNG, is each one of these cubes is 350 by 350. So this is the front face on here, and it's 4 wide, 3 high. I simply set this up in GIMP, where I do the math of how long it needs to be, the math of how high it needs to be, and I simply come over here to view, show grid, and then snap to grid. And then if I go to the image and configure, you can see I've got 350 by 350. And then so when I drag one of these tiles in here, let's grab one. and bring it in. If I place it and let it go, it snaps into place, so I don't have to worry about seams and stuff of that nature. So I can have top, bottom, side, all be unique, and you just have to figure out which direction it's facing and how you want the orientation. And that's a simple situation. Cube mapping brings so much life to your worlds. All right, now the last part of it, this is kind of complex, but super simple at the same time. Show you the thing that I've done first. Back over here. Right here in this rubble pile, I have this rubble pile, which is 3D mesh. I have a hurt box that I just touched. I've got this animated flame. We'll go over animations in a whole other video. But I've got this flame placed here. There's a light placed here. And then, of course, there's the hurt hazard block placed right here. And there's a mouse. So on your map, you can only place one item per cube. If you place another item on top of it, it just disappears. So what I've done with this is this decoration is the 3D model of the mesh that I placed in that item, and it's at X1, 6Y, Z0. Now to place anything else inside of there, I have to create a script, and the script has to be the map name. So the map name for this is cell block 01. So when I create my script, let's go ahead and get rid of my giant head. I have cell block 01 script is the name of this file, and you can see where I've been placing all of my lights. But if we scroll down to the bottom here, I have a spot called flame light. This is the light. And there it is, 160, and then there's the parameters for the light. And this allows me on map start to place this light in that same location where that decoration is. And then down here underneath, inside of decorations, I've got the spawn fire. Spawn at fire, which is the name of the decoration, 160. And then once we're back into the editor, I can go to like a default modifier and I can grab this hazard block and drag it on there. And so I have 4 items in the same cube space. And scripting is the only way that will allow you to do that. And that's a map script is what they call this. It's simple, it's super simple to set up. As long as the name of your map, any of these things that these commands you give it, as soon as, and you set it to map start, as soon as you press play, these items will populate in the places. So I'm basically using this for lights, and I will eventually use this to drop all of these items. Like I have all of these decorations, because now if I go and I try to drag an enemy in this spot, it will actually delete the decoration. So if I want my enemies in the same spot as one of these decorations, I just go into here and I tell it to spawn that enemy in that location. And it's much more intuitive, and you have much more control than just trying to drag and drop, because you can accidentally drag something on something and delete the item that was there before. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. We're already 14 minutes into this video. That's pretty much it. Those 3 things combined give you some really interesting stuff. Like I feel like I've created a pretty interesting world using these techniques, bringing in 3D models, not necessarily relying so wholeheartedly on the 2D sprites like this little apple, but using that and the custom modifiers to really kind of flesh this world out and make it feel more alive, less cartoony. The enemies as sprites is fine. My mice running around on the ground as sprites are fine. I've even got some trash on the table. But yeah, you can do some pretty powerful stuff with this game engine. On the surface, it looks really simple and it doesn't look like it's very powerful. But once you get digging through the deeper stuff. It's a really powerful engine. So I'll leave this link in the Discord also. Leave some comments if you have any suggestions or if you have any gripes about how I'm doing this. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully I'll have some results on Smack Studio. Catch you guys later.